So with the Crimson Tide's first game being mere days away and Nick Saban choosing not to release a depth chart yesterday, Alabama fans everywhere are filled with questions. Who's going to be the starting quarterback? Is Kevin Steele going to be able to bring back that vaunted Alabama defense? And finally, what's the offense going to look like under Tommy Rees? And today, we're going to talk about the last one, what Alabama fans can expect in this Tommy Rees offense. More specifically, we're going to hone in on one position group, a position group where I think there's a ton of sneaky talent that Alabama fans need to be very excited about. But before we can, as always, y'all know the drill. I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Do you believe we're about to see a lot of production from the tight ends? And let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below. By the way, guys, if you love Alabama fan apparel, head over to homefield.com. Use code ATTS15 for 15% off your order. They have fantastic Alabama shirts, Alabama fan wear. You're not going to be disappointed. But with all that being said, let's jump right into this. And one thing we've talked about time and time again on the live streams and videos, what have you, is that Alabama is going to run Alabama's offense. However, one thing we have got to acknowledge is that whenever Nick Saban makes these offensive coordinator hires, they do add in little wrinkles into the offense. Personally, I think with Tommy Rees, the two wrinkles we're going to see is kind of that power run formation that Alabama used to be so predicated off of, and secondly, getting the tight ends involved. Because whenever we look at the tight end room for Alabama, personally, I think there is a ton of talent that a lot of defenses aren't going to be accounting for because, quite frankly, a lot of teams don't know about the level of talent Alabama has in that room. I mean, we're talking about Amari Niblack, who stands 6'4", 233 pounds. Danny Lewis, who stands 6'5", 255 pounds. You have CJ Dippre, who transfers in from Maryland, 6'5", 257 pounds. You have Robbie Oots. You have Kitzelman. There are so many different options that Alabama can go in the tight end room. And one thing I'm curious to see is how much 12 personnel do we see? And Saturday could be a great opportunity to roll out some 12 personnel because you could just roll out 12 personnel, do basic formations out of 12 personnel, and still start getting that part of your offense worked out. And personally, I think in the three tight ends I originally named, Niblack, Danny Lewis, and CJ Dippre, I think teams are going to have a lot of trouble trying to stop 12 personnel with any two of those tight ends on the same field. Because we have to understand that there are stylistic differences between these guys. Whenever we're talking Amari Niblack, this guy is a legitimate mismatch at the tight end position. He has got genuine wide receiver ability, and that's something I think Alabama is going to look to utilize. Anytime you have a mismatch, you're trying to figure out ways you can utilize that like a chess piece. I think that Amari Niblack is going to have an increased role this year, and I'm really excited to see it. Danny Lewis is an individual who Alabama fans have known for a while as a guy with a ton of potential. This seems to be the year where it could all come together. He's got the ability to block. He has got sneaky good receiving ability. And in fact, I think a lot of people thought he was more of a blocking tight end. That is not the case at all. Danny Lewis is an incredibly balanced tight end where he can give you good blocking, but he is a really good receiving threat at the tight end position, something I think Alabama is going to look to utilize. And finally, you have the man with the experience, CJ Dippre, an individual who had over 300 receiving yards last season for Maryland, who's played in some big college football games. Biggest game he had last year was against Ohio State, so he is no stranger to big-time football games, and that's going to be a welcome addition to this tight end room for Alabama. Because as talented as Danny Lewis and as talented as Amari Niblack are, they don't have that level of experience that a Dippre does. So being able to get Dippre into the room when there's a changing of the guard and the offensive coordinator, I think that's very positive because he can kind of help those other tight ends who may not have been in the games that he has been in get acclimated. And I think the one thing we talk about all the time whenever we're talking about a situation where a team such as Alabama is breaking in a new offensive coordinator and a new quarterback, what can you do to help your new quarterback? What can you do to help your new offensive coordinator? Well, I've always identified two areas. First, fantastic running back play, and luckily for Crimson Tide fans everywhere, I think you can expect fantastic running back play. We talked a few months ago how everybody was asking about the quarterback position, and for good reason, but the most important position for Alabama without question was the offensive line. Because if the quarterbacks are starting to struggle, they're going to try and utilize the running game to open up the passing game. In order to do that, the offensive line has got to give adequate protection. So I think the offensive line is going to be a massive strong point for Alabama. I think the running game is going to be a strong point. The other area that you can utilize to help a new quarterback, a new offensive coordinator, great tight end play. Give your quarterbacks options. And luckily for Alabama, once again, when I look at this tight end room, I think there is a lot of ability, both in terms of safe options and in terms of a tight end in Niblack with genuine game-breaking ability, genuine mismatch ability to where you can put him out, spread him out, and almost use him as a wide receiver. And defensive backs are going to have a tough time, not even dealing with his physicality and his size, dealing with his athleticism. Whenever you have a 6'4", 230-plus pound tight end, and what I'm talking about defensive backs having to be worried about isn't the size, it's his athleticism, that's when you know you've got someone. So very excited to see what Amari Niblack looks like, but the Crimson Tide offense as a whole is going to be a ton of fun. I'm really hoping that we see the tight ends get an increased role with Tommy Rees being the offensive coordinator, and I think it's a great way to start producing easy offense. Get your quarterbacks in rhythm, and then you can start spreading it out to the wide receivers. But I do find this is an area where Alabama fans need to be very thankful that they have the talent in the tight end room that they have the talent along the offensive line that they have. Because transitioning off of Bryce Young was never going to be easy. But with the offensive line looking like it's going to be a typical, great Alabama offensive line, something the Crimson Tide haven't seen in a few years, but it looks like it's going to be that level of Crimson Tide offensive line. With the running back room being as talented as it is, with the wide receivers having the talent, if they can clean up the drops, it's going to be a very exciting room. Alabama's offense has the talent. It's just going to be a lot of fun to see how it all comes together. But personally, I think the tight ends are going to be a big part of this team, and I think a tight end such as Amari Niblack, a Danny Lewis, or a CJ Dippre are names you need to be on the lookout for, because they could be household names in college football everywhere by midseason, and I don't think anybody would be surprised. Hop down to the comments, let me know what you're thinking about this. Which tight end do you think is in store for a massive year? That's it. See ya.